Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. We have an IOTX video for you guys today. This is one of the projects I've been holding for a few years now. To be honest, in the winter market particularly, I was staking this a lot on I think it's called the IO Play wallet. I can't actually remember the name of it. But yes, been staking it through the native wallet of the IOTX platform. It's done really well. And it's certainly something that I haven't really accumulated over the last couple of years, just letting the money do the work for me, as they say in that staking principle. So I've managed to, about a month ago, pull some of that from the staking pools. Obviously some of these have lock-in periods, and pretty much getting ready for the market ahead. I do anticipate, which I will cover on hopefully a live show either Tuesday or Wednesday this week. There will be obviously a correction at some point, but I do think some of these altcoins are going to start rising quite significantly before that kind of Bitcoin halving event, and what I perceive to be the actual bull run, the full run towards the end of this year, sort of when the interest rates drop and the elections are going on, etc. All the other narratives around the world just start concluding themselves. But for this particular kind of mini runs, it's a great opportunity for me and maybe many of you out there in a similar principle position to try and take some profits from those that were perhaps missed in a few years ago, or maybe taking profits of some of the assets that you might have purchased a few months ago. So in this instance with IOTX, the last 3 months, we see on the screen here on this chart, which I'll just zoom in so we can all see this a bit more clearly. We've had a good 200% increase actually over the 3-month period. Now you could scale back probably to around July/August time of 2023, when we had pretty much all the lows going on in the market across the board. Those were obviously definitive times to be buying when it was boring, no one's talking about it. You see the constant reduction in price. And it's, as I said, for me personally, it wasn't something I was adding. I was looking at other assets that I hadn't accumulated previously. I was adding to those just to have the hindsight really of knowing that I was buying IOTX at really good prices before, not too far off these lower prices anyway, to be honest. It was around these sort of 2 to 3 cent mark. So even to this point, I'm in the green for sure on that one. But I am waiting really for sell-offs just above or near that 10 cent mark as the first instance, and some other critical areas, which we'll go into a bit more detail in a second. For those that are new to IOTX or haven't heard of this project before, and you're just having a bit of an interest, I've done loads of introductory videos over the years, loads of in-depth kind of update videos as well. But in a nutshell, this project kind of came to my attention from the fact that I've had many years in my career through the IoT sphere, and kind of venturing into AI, which this project partially does. But the IoT aspect, when we're talking about DeepIn, this is a narrative that's been flying around a lot recently, that decentralized infrastructure or physical infrastructure, hence the DeepIn wording. If you don't know what I'm talking about here, check out the DeepIn video that I did the other week. I'll leave a link to it at the end of this one. We welcome all different levels of crypto here. For sure, and it's great to be able to educate those that are new to the space or looking for different kinds of gems or opportunities. And yes, this has been around for a few years now, this project, but I still think there's a massive amount of gains to be had with this, especially if you see some corrective periods to try and take advantage of and try and accumulate in those areas as well. So for me, the DeepIn aspect of this, the IoT infrastructure, is very important when we're looking at data algorithms, or algorithmic data really, of IoT. And IoT is basically Internet of Things, and this is anything really, appliances, smartphones, etc., that connect to the internet. Anything that connects to the internet can be used as essentially a data metric, whether that's energy consumption, environmental impacts of data, perhaps you running. All of these things can accumulate together using the likes of blockchain to validate and process, and of course AI in that aspect of being able to create forecasting or trending. So you can imagine everything on one system. It's quite impressive, and IOTX really does delve massively into the IoT application of all those merging technologies. It's really exciting. IoT is not a new principle. It's been around probably, I would say, safely about 10, 11, maybe 12 years in general. It's something that's not really talked about unless you've really been in the industry, but I do believe that blockchain has brought it to life a bit more, in my opinion, as has AI, to give it a bit more definition and a utility. Many people talked about smart grids years ago, or smart cities. It was a very big application to this, and IOTX is doing wonders in this area. And I think, if I remember correctly, one of the first ever videos I did on this channel, I believe I had IOTX as my kind of gem, my go-to gem at that time, just because of the ability of it and the technological area that it was sat in. But as I said, if you want real in-depth information on these projects, go and check those out. I'll leave links to some of those at the end of this video. But let's go back to the price point a second. I'm trying to keep these videos short and sweet because there's so much to go through this week with my few weeks absence, so apologies for that. But we're back in the grind. You can see here we've got old school fib levels here that I've done many times. I've left them as they are. I have actually moved one of these slightly further across just to give that definition of where we are right now in this point in time. Previous videos I've had these at the lower regions back down here, and also one of the recent high points, I say recent, it was 2021, seems like yesterday, which was around May time, 2nd of May, and I use that as an identifiable point. And you can actually see across the board throughout 2021 bull run, there was a lot of what I call magnetism there. This is where we have a fluctuation around a specific point in the chart. And this is pretty much where we have landed as of today. You can see this jump. So I'm just going to remove the 200%, which is indicating the 3-month move. And we look at this area here. So we've gone relatively from, 2 or 3 days ago, floating around the 5.9/6 cent mark, all the way to pretty much touching 8.6, 8.7 cents. So not quite beyond that 9 cent mark or towards the 10 just yet. But I do anticipate we might have some sideways trading, maybe for a few days, who knows, to see if we can break out to that area. That takes us to roughly the top end of this longer term one that I've had in place for the fib levels. And then we start looking at the longer spectrum term, where we've taken the really low points of IOTX and the previous all-time highs as well, back at this group here. So you can see the slightly more gradient color fib levels here. This is the long-term one, all the way down the middle, giving you a bit of a rough idea of where we could potentially get to. So I'm just going to stretch that across, and we're going to have a look at this in a bit more detail. So first of all, we are matching back up with that 2021 price and all the ones that fluctuate around this area. It's also, I don't know if you can see this one. This one again is taking some recent low and high points as well. I'm just going to stretch that across slightly as well and keep that in line to where it was. And you can see that we've matched two unique areas on a mid to short-term graph here as well on the fib retracement levels. So this is really positive. Because it's getting extra double confirmation as to where we probably really should be in these markers. So if I just zoom in a bit more, we can now start representing where we might go with IOTX. So we have bounced off this current area here. We're retracing slightly. Again, we're going to see a lot of fluctuation around this area for sure. But if I just draw in, I don't want to do too many because it will look absolutely chaotic. But I'm going to just draw one from here. So one of the higher points to the lower points again. Up from these spectrums, just to give us a bit of an idea as to where we may be going with this. So I'm just going to remove that marker there. Okay, so taking from that low point and one of the higher points, we can see that we may have a retest back down to this 7.6 cent mark at some point, which will again also match up with one of the recent highs that we saw back here on the 19th of February and the markers that we have in 2021 as well. What we can argue right now is that we may fluctuate around this area, and potentially, if there's enough excitement, we could start moving our way back up towards this area here, hitting towards that 10.7 cent mark. This is a sell-off period or sell-off area for me, in my opinion, and certainly something that I am personally waiting for. But there is an equal opportunity for it to be stabilizing and then retracing to some of these lower areas as well. So if you are new to IOTX or it's something of interest to you, or you've really liked the idea of the project, there are some critical areas that you can definitely look out for. One in the immediate term is around this 7 cent mark. One of the other areas back down at these two, which indicates the 5.8 cent mark 4.9, I wouldn't rule that out at all, because you do sometimes get some flash sale days. So if we do stabilize back down here, we do get a flash sale, and this could be really indicated from things like leveraging or Bitcoin failures, etc. in the market. It could literally penetrate down. If in fact, this is a prime example here. I'm just going to match it up. So this was on the 6th of March. You can see it was playing around. It opened up all the way back up here at 6 cents, and it had one flash sale down to 5. Now, depending on how much you've accumulated, how much you hold of IOTX, 1 cent can actually be quite significant. So I'm not suggesting that it may go back down all the way down here, but you could also say that maybe, just maybe, that 4.9 cent touch could happen down again. But these are the definite areas of interest for sure on the way down. This is why we DCA into projects, which is dollar cost averaging, meaning we don't just throw money at things just because we've been paid one day. When we throw it in just willy-nilly, we want to make sure that we put a certain percentage of that in, and then we wait, because we could get some of the lower regions. If it goes upwards, happy days, you've made a bit of profit. Yes, you could argue, oh, I wish I bought more at these times, but you can't always play that game for sure accurately. So that's why it's good to have that kind of strategy involved for these kind of moves, and especially in these kind of markets, because it is so volatile. It really is almost unpredictable. Whilst we are on these bull runs and these forward momentums, it can go the other way quite quickly as well, especially if you could argue the point that if you get these wonderful quick moves up within a space of a few days, there is also the gravitational aspect that can happen in reverse as well. So we've got to keep an eye out for this. But saying that, now we've hit this area up here at 8.7 cents. We have had a bit of a retracement area as well. We can argue that because of the RSIs on the left hand side here, on the 2 weeks 75 and 28.69, these are what I would say around about the 3/4 area. So if you think of 0 to 100, obviously 50 being in the middle, we're looking at very much 3/4 of the way on the 2 week move. And on the 28 day, on a monthly spectrum, we're looking at 69.70. So in my opinion, there's still room for growth and a push, an extra push here. I think this could potentially all continue like this on not just IOTX, but many other assets towards that Bitcoin halving event. The price is almost pretty much being included in that Bitcoin price, in my opinion. And I think we will have some form of correction. How big that will be, we don't know. Some are arguing 40%, some are arguing 70%. Whatever it is, it will definitely come back towards the end of the year for sure, because I do think we need to go and wave a big hello to that 150,000 mark perhaps on Bitcoin. And in between these moves, you get the altcoin seasons with projects like this, where you have a bit of a trickle down of Bitcoin into Ethereum, then Ethereum into the altcoins. This has happened on a few cycles in the past, and it's certainly something that we anticipate for this one, just purely because those profits need to go somewhere, and predominantly most people keep their money in crypto. They don't trust other areas of finance right now. So this is a very much a growing market, and people are very excited. You're going to get new users coming in as well. You're going to get people asking about Deepin, AI, GameFi, all of these narratives that have been flying around for quite some time now. And IOTX, in my opinion, is one of those. So there's some really interesting points here for IOTX, in my opinion. I think it's a cracking project. It's one that we've deep dived into so many times. Do check those videos out, guys. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. We're going to, as I said, try and do a live event this week, but I'm trying to do as many asset videos as possible, give a quick update on the markets, and maybe even some reminders to people that have forgotten that they either had these assets or these assets even existed. There's definitely obviously another opportunity to do your own research for sure. We're going to wrap that up there. Yet another video this week, finally, of getting it under 15 minutes. Thank you for watching this one, guys. We'll see you in the next IOTX video. Take care and bye-bye.